The East Bay Refugee and Immigrant Forum acknowledges that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ohlone people, who are the original inhabitants of the East Bay area. As the indigenous stewards of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ohlone have always been the caretakers of this territory and all those that live within. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ohlone community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. This is especially important to remember as we welcome newcomer immigrants and refugees, some of whom are also displaced First Peoples.
Welcome.
خوش آمدین.
Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos.
سوال سواگتا.
أهلا بكم.
Bienvenidos.
خوش آمدید.
Welcome.
Bienvenidos.
From KCCEB, welcome to World Immigrant and Refugee Day celebration. Yay! Woo!
The American Red Cross welcomes you to World Refugee Day.
안녕하세요. 우리는 ARTogether에서 오늘 세계 난민의 날에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Mabuhay at maligayang pagdating sa araw ng mga refugee at imigrante ng mundo o World Refugee at Immigrant Day. Masaya at nagagala kami na kasama namin kayo ngayon para ipagdiwang ang araw na ito. Salamat!
Every Kazakh and Russian-speaking society hate me and afraid me because it's troublemaker. Nobody likes a troublemaker. I'm born in USSR, strongly educated to anatomy, perspective, anything. No expressionism, no impressionism. Abstract? No, it's capitalistic style. Don't do that. This is funny. I know it's brutal, it's maybe wild something, but it's political. We're fighting against dictator, against massacre in Kazakhstan. This is a dictator of Kazakhstan. This is Kazakh government capital building. It's perfect. Beautiful and rich country to oil, uranium, anything. But corrupt, dictatorship, and fighting to democracy, to freedom, because I'm artist.
Канат Ибрагимов, казахско-американский художник.
Шалкет! Шалкет! Freedom for Kazakhstan!
Kazakhstan будет свободным!
Now I live in America. And 50 years I'm running from my country. I will take a political asylum there. It's fantastic. It's good adventure for artists. Good experience. When I get asylum granted, I have an appointment in refugee clinic. And biting and sitting in a prison. Maybe you have a problem, mental depression. No, I'm total happy because I'm alive. I'm free. When my money is gone, I'm again going to one or three. I'm looking some maybe Uber taxi driver. I'm not dependent from the salt my pain. Yes, I'm realistic. I think I'm last artist in Bay Area. I feel like that today in Cybermind here. To be artist is big trouble. Painting is old. It's about maybe it's 20th century, 19th. Now paint is like a rarity. But paradox is in the paint now. It's like a radical art. My future is, I think, it's connect with the American life, American style. I want to make some exhibition, maybe some murales in San Francisco or Bay Area. It's also my dream. I want to continue my political radical activity. I want to connect. I want to talk. I want a relationship with American artists. Yeah. I want to be American artist. I want to connect with American. Yes, please.
Welcome to everyone. We are so happy to have you here and so happy to meet you to this new community that you're forming. We hope that you can find support that you need in this community and in IRC.
Bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Estamos muy felices de tenerlos con nosotros.
سلام، خیلی خوش آمد میگم به همه عزیزانی که به تازگی که وارد آمریکا شدند. امیدوارم که ورودتون به آمریکا با خوشی، شادی و سلامتی همراه باشه. مطمئن هستم که در این کشور زیبا بهترین ها برای شما رقم میخوره. I'm sure.
أهلا وسهلا به IRC.
We're so happy to have you here in the United States and in the Bay Area. Welcome.
أهلا وسهلا فيكم ب IRC.
Bienvenidos a los Estados Unidos.
My name is Abdi Badada. I would like to welcome all to World Refugee and Immigrant Day 2021. On behalf of Northern California Oromo community, we are immigrated from Oromia in East Africa. Nagaan Hadursu. Maqaan kiyya Abdii Badhaadhaa, hawaasa Oromoo kaaba Kaalifoorniyaa bakka bu'ee baga guyyaa baqattoota addunyaa 2021 isin ga'e. Bara nagaa, bara hawwiin keessan itti guutu siniif haa ta'u galatooma.
歡迎慶祝全世界嘅難民同埋移民。耶！
ဝါဒုက္ခသည်များနဲ့နိုင်ငံရပ်ခြားရွှေ့ပြောင်းသူများနေ့ကိုကြိုဆိုပါရစေ။ခုလိုလာရောက်အားပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကျမတို့အများကြီးဝမ်းသာပါတယ်ရှင်။
Xin chào quan khách đến tham dự lễ hội mừng những người tị nạn và nhập cư trên toàn thế giới.
World Refugee Day is an international day designated by the United Nations to honor refugees around the globe. It falls each year on June 20th and celebrates the strength and courage of people who have been forced to flee their home country to escape conflict or persecution. World Refugee Day is an occasion to build empathy and understanding for the plight of those who have been displaced and to recognize their resilience in rebuilding their lives. World Refugee Day was held globally for the first time on June 20th, 2001. It commemorated the 50th anniversary of the United Nations 1951 Convention relating to the global status of refugees. It was originally known as Africa Refugee Day before the UN General Assembly officially designated it as an international day in December of 2000.
शरणार्थी एवं आप्रवासी दिवस को हार्दिक शुभकामना एवं सुस्वागतम।
नमस्ते, आपका
નમસ્તે, કેમ છો? તમારું સ્વાગત છે.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
Welcome to World Refugee and Immigrant Day
왜 사피도 만드냐이 밀어 봐봐 거봐 캐디도 이거가 문이 하고 거봐 보게 W मा न पतिलो दुमल ममयु मा W
नमस्कार विश्व आप्रवासी तथा शरणार्थी दिवसको उपलक्ष्यमा यहाँहरू सम्पूर्णमा हार्दिक स्वागत गर्दछौँ। यस अवसरमा हामीसँग जोडिनु भएकोमा हामी उत्साहित छौँ। धन्यवाद।
Hello everyone. Welcome to the World Refugee and Immigrant Day 2021. We, the Refugee Department at Lao Family in Oakland, California, wish you happiness and good luck in starting your new life.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos al Día Internacional de los Refugiados e Inmigrantes.
세계 난민과 이민자의 날 행사에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
I didn't want my mom to find out because it's frowned upon. A lot of Koreans thought that you had a serious issue. They still can't get over the idea of therapy and mental health being something that's completely normal. Yeah, because it's like you're pretty much saying that there's something wrong in your head. And I also didn't think that I needed help. I knew it when I woke up one morning and then I hated the fact that I opened my eyes. And I wish I never opened my eyes that way. So I knew then right away that like I needed someone's help. All I could remember, honestly, it's a bit of a blur. I mean, I was able to comprehend his death, but it was more like, I think it affected my mom more than it affected me. Seeing her struggle, being a single parent, was harder for me to see. And I think I was more busy trying to understand my mom. As a firstborn, I didn't have anything to help her with other than translating everything for her. I felt really bad. And then I started to compare myself to my other friends who are way better in terms of like their career and where they are in their life, at least from my perspective. I think that really let me down at that time. It really didn't help. Whenever I talk to them, I'm so focused on my hardships that I don't think about their hardships. And then when we talk, it's like, oh man, I'm not the only one who's going through this tough time. It's also, everyone's going through tough time in their own unique situations. Yeah, I mean, I was actually proud of myself for just even going to see a counselor. Because, yeah, I've always been the person who's like, I can do it. Like, I'll get over it. But, like, this time I knew I can't without someone's help. I was glad that I was able to assess that about myself. That was very encouraging. And right now, like, it's still something that I would completely suggest other people to do.
Each year, World Refugee Day is marked by a variety of events in many countries around the world. These events and activities are led by or involve refugees themselves, government officials, host communities, organizations, companies, celebrities, school children, and the general public. These events enable us to come together, to learn from, show support and solidarity with our refugee friends, neighbors, and communities, and to celebrate their cultures and contributions to all of our lives.
After my dad passed away, my mom told me we were just two lonely immigrants who found each other. I feel that loneliness inside of me. I don't feel a sense of belonging in any community. I'm not Filipino enough. I'm not Indian enough. Am I American? When I was younger, we used to go to India and the Philippines every few years. I remember when we visited my grandparents in the Philippines, we would go to the water every day, swim and eat barbecue from little huts nearby. My grandparents died when I was in elementary school, and my mom started visiting the Philippines on her own. I didn't return for 15 years. When I went with my mom for her 50th high school reunion, the barbecue huts were no longer there, and the water had risen such that the small sandy area where we used to go every day was gone, washed out to sea. What gets lost between waters? What gets missed in the passage of time? Where is home? How do I get there?
Bay Refugee and Immigrant Forum has hosted World Refugee Day events since the very first one in 2001. In recent years, the event has been called World Refugee and Immigrant Day in recognition of the great diversity of foreign-born residents in our local East Bay Area counties and their many shared concerns, needs, and hopes. We have held the events in Oakland City parks such as San Antonio Park, Lakeside Park, at Laney College, and in recent years at Think College Now's multi-purpose space. Our events have featured diverse performances, arts activities, presentations, recognitions, and celebrations. Due to COVID-19, we have been unable to host in-person events in 2020 and 2021. This year's celebration is a video screening. We hope you enjoy our offering in good health, and we will see you all in person for World Refugee and Immigrant Day 2022.
Soy de Todos Santos, Guatemala. La vida de nosotros no era tan fácil. Gente que nos querían hacer daño, gente que quería violarme. Yo vi cómo mataron a la gente. Yo no quise estar allí, por eso huí de Guatemala.
Last semester was my first semester in nursing school. A lot of immigrants end up in that hospital. I could really see their struggle. I had a different level of understanding. Somebody tells you, I'm scared. My family's being separated. I haven't seen my sister in years, and you're sitting there like, yes, me either. I'm just wondering about what the relationship is between serving people and being in community with people.
Most of the patients that we see are refugees from any part of the world. We have the services that no other place has. We provide Western medicine with cultural competency and traditional healing like acupuncture, massage therapy, and cupping. Treat people the way they want to be treated. It's not treat people the way we want to be treated.
When we arrived here, I felt I was safe because I couldn't hear the gunshots anymore.
Yeah.
The kids worry a lot, and I noticed that. So now I avoid being quiet when they're with me.
She was strong enough to help us get out of Uganda to the United States. Me as a son, it was really hurting me, seeing her doing all that and I couldn't do anything.
Having the experience of being a refugee and wanting to work with refugees, that's an amazing thing.
I want to be a social worker because I've seen a lot of people suffer. Seeing that as a kid, that stayed with you for a long time and it's hard to turn the page.
We may come from different countries, but the struggle and the challenge may be somehow similar to us. By helping people also help us as well, and to find the healing.
هاي ساميتي متي خديها درا أخوات أنا حج ندي أسرح ودادي أجلس ليش حسب سلزمة تطلي كتصحب ثانيها كجر مكا خمن بزعبة خاي أول that's it.
We left Iran in 2003 and came to the US in 2004 with my family, my parents and my brother and sister.
أنا فقادو يبهر.
My parents belong to a minority group, and because of their religion, we basically didn't have any rights.
Eritrean and Ethiopian are enemies. Were enemies. I think like right now they sort of like peace.
The journey of ARTogether, I think, it started a few weeks after the election of Donald Trump.
Yeah, they were enemies. So if you just cross the border from Eritrea to Ethiopia, and then you cannot go back to Eritrea because it's not legal.
There is this sense of like shame about the language that you don't know and you feel like you should know, so it just makes you more isolated.
No, I just dropped school when I was in 6th grade, I guess. Yeah, so I didn't get to learn English, but like I learned English since I came here.
The resettlement process is still the same as 15 years ago.
I waited for 1 year, and then after that, like someone said, okay, I can adopt Figaro, and then okay.
The services for many refugee communities very, very limited again. And they are mostly about the logistic of the resettlement.
In the beginning, I didn't like it because like everything is different. Like the language, the people. Now I'm like better.
What we need is a community building program that doesn't require language.
Many immigrants is like the same as me because like in the beginning everybody said, oh my god, America is so hard, like the life, and then like everybody is busy.
We basically partner with different refugee service agencies, either resettlement agencies who are helping the newcomers or other refugee service agencies who are providing different services to newcomers and those who've been here for a long time.
In arts, like you can make like a lot of friends, and then like even though they don't speak your language and then you don't speak their language, you can just understand by showing something like art, drawing, like painting or like making some jewelries.
These are the different services we can offer. Expressive classes or social gatherings around art, or going to a concert, or going to a museum, or a series of classes, or craft or sculpture or painting.
I was so happy because like I never did like jewelry. Like when they show me, I make two. I'm like, what? I was happy.
One beautiful thing in our class is that 10 minutes through the class, you see that everybody's mingling. People are talking more comfortable when their hand is basically busy.
Telling story, I love it. It's good, like to remember like your past life and to learn about technology more, because like first it's fun. And then, even though you don't speak like the same language, you can understand by motion or like drawing or like painting. It like bring like together, art together. We have like art together. Queen? Why do I wear the Queen t-shirt? Oh, okay, because I'm the king. I'm the king, yeah, I'm the king to myself. So.
World Refugee Day shines a light on the rights, needs, and dreams of refugees, helping to mobilize political will and resources so refugees can not only survive, but also thrive. While it is important to protect and improve the lives of refugees every single day, international days like World Refugee Day help to focus global attention on the plight of those fleeing conflict or persecution. Many activities held on World Refugee Day create opportunities to support refugees and to amplify their experiences.
There is a Kikuyu song that states, "Though we may be apart physically, our hearts will always be together." This line reminds me of my grandmother. She always asked me why I was named Salome and not Damaris, like her, since I was supposedly named after her. I shrugged my shoulders, and with the wisdom and innocence of a young child, I referred her question to my parents. This did not dilute the strength of the relationship that we enjoyed or depth of the love that we shared. She called me Garana, which means namesake, and so she built a bridge between her heart and mine. As I matured, I learned that the Gikuyu culture can assign several names to a person. Names that speak volumes of the history of our people and where we came from. My grandmother was named Damaris when she was baptized Christian. But since she came from the western part of central Kenya, she was also named Warogoro, which means from the west. She was also named Nyabura, derived from the word Bura, which means rain. My parents had prepared me for the simple village life that my grandmother lived, and had asked me not to expect any treats from her when I went to visit. She knew that I was accustomed to eating something for breakfast in Nairobi, where my family and I lived. One morning, I woke up and sat next to her by the open hearth where she cooked. The cup of tea that she offered me was delicious. It was a combination of fresh, unprocessed milk, black tea, and a smoky flavor, courtesy of the fire. As I waited for my tea to cool down, I noticed that my grandmother was fiddling with the ashes around the stones. Her slender fingers extracted a sweet potato baked to perfection, tender and juicy with the skin on. As she tore it apart, steam escaped, filling the air with the aroma of the ash-baked sweet potato. It wasn't the bread with butter and jam that I was used to, but it tasted even better, since I knew it was a labor of love, dug from her garden, and then watchfully baked as she prepared the tea. Grateful for this memory, I'm learning to create memories for the young members of my family, so that when they're older, they too will recall a time when life slowed down enough for us to savor our time together.
There are almost 300,000 of us living amongst you today, forced to leave any semblance of community we once had to escape violent persecution. From family, neighbors, police, people we should have felt safest around. As an undocumented LGBTQ immigrant and person of color, asylum meant safety. It meant finding work and much needed access to medical care, mental health, and social services. It was a path out of poverty and a chance to belong. A path home. At first, I was terrified to reach out for help and relive the violence, the persecution, until I heard about this place, Oasis, through someone who experienced the same trials as I did. It gave me the courage to come out of the shadows. At Oasis, I felt seen and celebrated as my true self. That feeling empowered me to apply for asylum. When I couldn't afford a lawyer, they helped me anyway. They guided me through the process of finding a home, taught me about my rights, and advocated for me all the way along the path to citizenship. Telling my story and reliving my past was painful, but Oasis was with me every step of the way. With your help, they're able to ensure that those of us fleeing violence finally get a chance at feeling safe, celebrated, a chance at finding peace.
This past year, I went to Greece to do aid work with refugees. I taught English and art classes at this abandoned school that was occupied by families from Syria, Afghanistan, Sudan, Iraq, other countries too. They all learned each other's languages so they could speak to each other. They cooked together, looked after the kids together, drank tea together. I kind of found a home in that place, with all of us existing together, sharing a culture of communion. I cherish community like that, but growing up in the South as a Muslim Arab woman, community was hard to come by. My mom is a refugee from Palestine and my dad is from Tunisia. So when I was growing up in Virginia, they always had that mentality of lay low, do what you have to do, stay on the safe side, because of their experiences back in the Blad. Then it got really hard for Arab and Muslim people like us to lay low in this country. I remember when 9/11 happened. I sat on the stairs with my mom, watching the towers burn on the TV. I didn't understand the gravity of what had happened. My parents were quiet. They didn't really talk about it, but I could feel the worry in their faces. The next day, my mom walked me and my brother to school. as usual, wearing her hijab. All of a sudden, this big white pickup truck slowed down and stopped next to us. A tall white man got out, walked over to us. I could feel my mom backing us away, pushing us behind her. I heard her whispering, Allah yastur. She kept a brave face, but her eyes were so scared. I felt her fear too. The man said, I know this thing happened yesterday. I've noticed you in the neighborhood, and I want you to know you have someone here. If anyone tries to bother you, I'm here to support you. My mom smiled at him. They exchanged numbers, and I didn't feel so scared anymore. I somehow felt at home.